Are we going to be in a situation where the sovereign wealth fund will say, hey, I want to make an investment in your company, and the company has to say, no thanks?
That's definitely increased in the past few weeks, but I think there is a lot of demand for these startups to still receive investor capital. As you know, China has definitely slowed down or pretty much put the kaput on venture capital funding, and kind of Saudi Arabia has been in the tailwinds filling that gap. So if Saudi Arabia were to pull back on more venture investments, then it'll definitely have a major impact with that funding scene.
I mean, part of the conversation when you have Mohammed bin Salman come to the U.S. and sort of do a tour of the country and make a lot of investments, and then it was also about the U.S. businesses really starting to get into Saudi Arabia as well. Does that tit for tat start to deteriorate?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know there are definitely a lot of issues going on right now, and people are calculating on what the repercussions are going to be. This tit for tat thing is definitely translates into the U.S.-China trade war. I would say we'll have a lot more information after this Davos of the Desert conference, and we'll see which investments percolate through. I think there'll be a lot of announcements at this FII event with the PF engaging in select industries.
Well, it's a good point. Also, not only industries but specific countries. I mean, if there is continued friction with the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, does it create other opportunities for countries to come into Saudi Arabia and say, hey, look, we'll take your money?
Oh, yeah, that's a very good question. Russia and China are very eager, if relations with the U.S., appear to, worsen. Russia and China is very happy to step in. Russia has the Russia Direct Investment Fund, their sovereign wealth fund looking for deals. You also have China. China and Saudi Arabia have a lot of oil connections, and China is definitely a major buyer of Saudi Arabian oil. So there are definitely countries willing to fill that void. There's a lot of infrastructure needs in Russia, in China, in India. So there are a lot of markets that the PIF has options to choose from.
And part of this, obviously, is that Vision 2030, which is a Saudi Arabia economy that's moving away from oil. Did that thesis, is it still up for grabs, or did it just get harder?
I think, this is one of those storms. I think overall, sovereign wealth funds are long-term investors, and they're going to look past this. And so, yes, there will be friction. In fact, one of our last surveys that we did, geopolitical risk was the biggest concern for institutional investors and sovereign wealth funds. So essentially, people are factoring geopolitical risk more into their investment considerations.